America has its two candidates for the presidential election this November. President Joe Biden and former President Trump are now the presumptive nominees for their respective parties. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm Steve Solis.
And I'm Julie Calhoun. So here are the latest projections. President Biden has 2,101 delegates tonight, well above the 1,968 needed to clinch the Democratic nomination. Former President Trump followed close behind, just crossing that threshold within the past hour with 1,228 delegates. Those numbers include tonight's results from the Washington state's primary election.
King 5's Erica Zucla joins us live in studio now with a look at the latest numbers. Erica.
Right. We have a tool that allows us to really break these numbers down county by county that you can see here and also give you some historical context. And we want to start here with that Republican primary where you can see that former President Trump ultimately ended up taking 74.2% of the vote ahead of Nikki Haley, who statewide took 21.7%. As you know, she did drop out, but some people did have their ballots in before that happened. So some of those voters, that might be the case. Potentially, some of them also were just looking for a different candidate option. And if we zero in on King County specifically here, you can see that she brought in 33.8% of the vote, which ultimately averaging everything together resulted in the total that you saw. Now, if we look back to 2016, because that's the last time that former President Trump was a challenger and not an incumbent there, you can see he took 71.6% of the vote. So essentially very similar to what we saw this time around. Now, we want to head back to 2024 and take you to the Democratic primary, where you can see here that statewide, well, actually just in King County, President Biden took 85.2% of the vote. Here you can see 10.3% of voters were uncommitted. And as you know, those are voters that are really trying to make a statement here, calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. If we look statewide, we can see that that total then goes down to 7.5%. And I also want to just take a quick look here at Whatcom County, where you can see 9.8% of voters were uncommitted. And if we look back to 2020, when now President Biden was a challenger in the race, you can see that's a county where Bernie Sanders had actually won. Now, going just back to these totals to take one more look, you can see here, we'll be bringing you updates all throughout the night. And just really important to mention, while these are the presumptive nominees, an ultimate decision will be made at the conventions. Steve and Julie.
Erica, thank you. So now it looks like a rematch between President Biden and his predecessor, former President Trump.
Well, tonight we talked to the King 5 political analyst, former State Attorney General Rob McKenna, talked about the historic aspect of the Biden-Trump race.
Look, this hasn't happened since 1892. That was the last time we had a face-off by two presidential candidates two times in a row, 1888, 1892. Wow. And, of course, Harrison lost in 1892 to Grover Cleveland. So we're in historic.
And we asked former governor and political analyst Gary Locke how important young voters will be in the 2024 election.
They're just growing in numbers, and they're very principled and have very strong beliefs, and much of the campaign you will see from the Biden administration, and the campaign will be focused on the young voters.
We're going to continue to track results as they come in tonight on king5.com. We'll also send updates through our mobile app. Just text app to 206-448-4545 and we'll send you the link to download.